have Edward who just arrived from France, from Vietnam, and did a small stop there. And Veronica was in Boston previously, and was now in Singapore, and who seems to like it. Myself, I'm coming from France, and I think that Singapore is a very good place to think about all those data. So we created Healint at the beginning of this year to work, as mentioned, on behavioral analytics. So our first motivation has been to try to find ways to improve what is done in the healthcare system. Big subject. Myself, I work a lot on R&D, clinical trials, and I've seen a lot of things that could be improved in clinical trials. I also happen to know quite well something called stroke. So who knows what stroke is? Not that many. So stroke is when you have a blood clot in your brain, and that you will have you will lose basically your capacities related to the pressure, the blood, the cells of the brain being destroyed by the blood pressure. So you lose half of your capacity, and it's something maybe we should go on the figure overall. Yeah, it's fun. Facebook is more fun. So we have a page here. You can go and see and follow up with us after a little bit more. And see about the application with them. But so every 2 seconds, actually, somebody in the world is having a stroke. And the good news is that most people survive. The bad news is that you know that it can come anytime again. And the next time, usually, or quite often, it's you do not survive. So you have a lot of people worried. So if we give the figure in a slightly different way, 1 in 6 person in his life will have a stroke. This is a statistic, so you can count in the row. The good news is that you can have clues about that a little bit related to your way of life, related to your genes and your family. But it's still something that is not that well mastered. It's very difficult to anticipate. And that's where we thought that we should work a lot on the data, because actually it's slightly different from her data, where her data is really fast in getting. In that case, actually 80% of the case of stroke are taken more than 3 hours after the first symptoms of the attack. 80%. So if you can reduce that to, let's say, less than 45 minutes, you reduce dramatically the consequences of that. And actually, last year when I was studying, one of the person we had with us in the class was working very hard, extremely exhausted, taking a lot of long-haul flights, working for private equity, so, and a lot of stress, not sleeping that well. You felt the pain coming of the blood flow. The good thing is that we had a neurosurgeon in the class. He told him go quickly to the hospital and do an IRM. So they could see that it was coming, and they could use medicaments to affect the blood flow. But in many cases, the person could be alone. And if you're alone, you did not see it coming. The first thing you lose is the use of your hand, your capacity to speak. The words that you're giving are not the words that you want to give, and you fall also in many cases. So if you're alone, it's very difficult because you cannot follow. And this is where we decided with the team to start, but thinking really about the quantified self, thinking really about the future, thinking what you can do to measure and make it intelligent. So we start with a very good case also that we know. So this is Eve. And Eve is one of the users to whom we gave the first application we've developed. He had 2 strokes already, survived twice, good. He managed to go through a rehabilitation during 10 years, and now he's working okay. still not capable of using the two hands to use the phone. So he's quite happy to have the possibility to use, in case of problem, to just take his phone and shake it to send an alert. Like that. Because this is roughly the only thing that he will be able to do if something is happening. So as soon as the sun comes, he knows that he can lie down on the floor, and the best thing he can do is wait for help. Hopefully he never had to use it, but at least it's something that is helping him a lot. And we thought, of course, that is only a small improvement compared to the fun. It's about doing progressively the things slightly better. And all the idea about that behind is really about quantified self. Maybe we go to the team, because we thought each time we want to reduce the risk, we cannot reach to 100% risk reduction. Even if I put a maid completely behind you 100% of the time always, you will still have a risk. I hope you will still have a moment in your day when you will be alone. So it's the same with everything that you have on you. So we decided to work a little bit more further than that and work on the data acquisition and the data interpretation. And we have, for example, here in the team, Edward. Edward has been working on artificial intelligence and behavioral analysis in the past, including for about to observe the way the flu could be spreading in Asia and the ways to reduce that. And that's actually some sort of modeling that you can use to anticipate by observing the behavior and the holder of the phone, but also devices like that, to see if the person is on a good pattern or not. One big clue correlated with lots of problems and emergencies is the sleep quality. Sleep quality, if you start being very, very stressed and yet that you start to sleep badly, you are in a very bad pattern. It's continuously getting worse and worse. And there you have a first clue that you're probably going on something, you're quickly increasing your risk. So one of the first things we've done with Edward has been to say, can I, with the phone like that, which is already loaded with, by the way, loaded with our app to understand if I want to send an alert very quickly, can I observe if I'm sleeping normally? So that's the app I've just shown you. This one can be sending to multiple people the alert, and then after doing all the follow-up and up to the hospital in case of emergencies. But then, if we come back to if we continue. So, with those typical applications, you can give more information, but you can also give the locations. And then we arrive to the So map tracking, typically that is something that is already existing in many options. The big challenge here is about not draining the battery, especially when you are in trouble. If you're continuously using a tracking system, not only it's bad for your privacy, but your phone will not be working when you need it. So the map tracking is also one of the big challenges with all the applications you have. The Bluetooth is also a problem if you want to use the dedicated Fitbit or those type of applications today. The Bluetooth will improve in the future, but now it's still consuming a lot. So that's just about the emergency and the tracking. Yeah, and then we arrive to sleep pattern. That's a typical movement and sleep pattern that you can grab with by observing what is coming from the fun. And that's one of the first things we've done. So red means not much move. Gray means gray. It's not sure exactly what is happening. So it's a challenge with the quality of data, but it's improving quickly. And green means a lot of activity in that case. And you can see that that person is roughly waking up at that time, and I know exactly who it is. It's my father. And I was telling him that he was having a problem because he's been waking up in the night. And of course, as a relative, I'm very happy to know that he's waking up normally every morning without having to call him to check. Because he's sleeping a lot, so I'm a little bit worried always that it will be the next role. But the other thing is that with that, we can make the patterns and we can observe if that person is having problem. And here in that case, the fact that he's waking up in the night is a correlation with the stress level and an increase of risk.
Is it Sunday, Sunday?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did not mention. Yeah, it's very it's something that is, I would say, electronic wise, it's very cheap. It's simply using the accelerometer that you have in the phone.
How do you know he's awake?
I know he's awake because he touched his phone.
Okay. As opposed to just rolling around or catching.
Yeah, I did not ask him to put the phone on the bed. So we did not push that much to the change of. We did not push him that much to change his habits, because that's always a challenge. Making the system better without changing the habits, or getting the hardcore people who are really happy to change the habits. In that case, we first saw people who have relatives who are worried, but themselves, in many cases, are not themselves very worried. So they are not that much ready to change their habits. So if you ask the people to push a button regularly and go to search for something, you see that the data quality is dropping dramatically. It's terrible. You quickly have to come back to something far more traditional, such as I call you. And yeah, the call and the fact that he's answering to the call or not and how fast he's answering could be a data. But we're really changing the approach, and it's really a bigger toll on everybody in the environment. So the good thing with the quantified self is all the new sensors. By the way, who's having a sensor like a Fitbit or equivalent on it today? That's good. So all the sensors that you've got are wonderful because it's designed to really reduce the toll on you. Who has lost it once?
Just once?
Once or more? Okay, so that means that we can do more, we can do better still. Because you had that moment when you had to retrieve it. But yeah, you break your fun. The good thing with the fun to start with is that today it's roughly 90% of the people have their fun instantly near from them, less than 1 meter away from them, 24 hours. And it's not because I have two phones on me and you have many people increasing the average. No, it's really like that. It's once you move to a smartphone, you tend to really keep it near from you. And actually, what was interesting in our case when we decided to go for stroke to start with is that the people who have stroke, you have that image, if you know that, of those people who are very old. But 28% of the stroke cases are before 65. So people who are typically active and have smartphones. And there's a lot in common with all the measurement of activity because it's not about only sleep. So we talked about sleep, but we can talk about those moments of activity. Is the person moving enough or not? And behavioral activity, behavioral observation is also being both passive and active. You check when the person is changing his habits, is the deviation normal or not? It's like deviations in financial transactions. So you see that the problem may be coming, but here that's the same. If the person is starting not to go out anymore, does it seem that there is a haze, like we have seen recently in Singapore, or is it really that the person is, for example, falling into depression? Because it's also something that could go very much with that. And the other step with behavioral observation and crossing all that is about thinking what you can do to make the things better. And that's something that can be using the fund, that can be using the relatives. Usually the relatives, I believe, but they are stronger than just having a machine sending you a message. And it's open to debate, it depends on the relatives. And it's really something that is growing and very interesting. You have works that has been done at the MIT in the US. That's the most public science. And you have the works that have been done in other universities all around the world, all around the world, including in Europe. For example, what is interesting is that actually the fund can understand really a lot about you. It's not just about seeing if you're moving or not. It can also see if, for example, your balance is getting better. If you're in relegation, the big challenge after you had a problem such as a stroke or an accident is that getting better, walking progressively is something that is really taking a long time. And usually you don't see yourself improvement. And your relatives neither. Those who are coming to see you every day, they don't see the improvement. But those who are coming to see you every 3 months, they see the difference. And a machine that is following you, that is following your improvement in balance, the fact that you're doing more steps can really help you in saying, oh, you see, it's not, it has been progressive, but you're on the right direction. Yeah. So I think that's it. I hope there are questions.
Me first.
Yeah.
So, two things. I'll just ask one. In terms of the behavioral analytics, we understand there's a roadmap of places that you can go. In terms of, I always say that the devices that we carry around are very, very dumb for all the information that they know. Like they don't give us huge amounts of information yet in terms of showing those deviations. So how far have you got in terms of looking at the anomalies and deviations and doing early detection?
So in our case, we are trying to be able to provide that artificial intelligence, not just for the phone, but for the other devices. So with the data they have, what can we infer?
And so are you just at the start of this journey, or have you made any progress yet, or?
We are clearly at the start of the journey because we have been focusing on the accelerometer equation, but you can cross the movement with the fact that it was raining. You said that's okay if the person did not go out, and with the fact that the person was on holiday or not, and you by crossing all those informations, you're starting to think of it like a human or a doctor, because the doctor is seeing those is making automatically those observations. The doctor is far better, of course, but
I wouldn't trust either of those.
We got really good at fall detection right now, so we really understand this is a real fall, or you dropping a phone, or you tossing a phone, or you just jumping into the bed.
Yeah.
We did a lot of tests like that. context at a time, so focusing on one context and moving on to things that are like more complicated ones. The thing is we need to gather a lot of data as well.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Which is the reason. I'm not doing a marketing pitch here, but but you can go on, we're trying to push a very controlled release for Android phone by the end of this month. If you go to our website, just enter your email, so we'll let you know when it's available. And you can download it and help us test it. If you have anyone, your loved ones that, potentially have stroke, you can use it for the whole family. It's free to download.
We've been using it quite intensively with 50 people, and now the objective is really to get more feedback from people who are also telling us, okay, I would like that to give me that information or not. Is it possible? And then I come back to Edward and he tells me, that's too much. But the challenges are about the quality of data also, because you have to understand. Okay, I don't have data now. Is it because it was not connected? Usually, you will have the answer after when it's connected. Is it because somebody crushed it? Is it because the battery was down? Is it because all those small problems? And they are not terrible to solve in itself, but you know that you should not expect a very controlled environment where you will have perfect data all over. And when you do your models, it works. When you do the models, you really have to take in account that. It's else you can draw very, very wrong conclusions if you're not anticipating all the problems. Even the fonts, or even a Feedback version 1, 2, 3, or they can change the accelerometer within the same production batch. And you will get one telling you that the gravity is at 10, and the other one telling you the gravity is at 9.8. So you have to anticipate that there will be a learning part about that. That's what the doctor is doing. He's learning about you at first. Not your doctor, but many doctors, the good doctors, they are learning a bit of about you when you tell, okay, I'm very, very sick this morning and I'm not happy, then say, oh, no, you're French, it's normal, you're never happy. Or you're, depending on the culture, you have all those adaptations that have to be done with the users and with the machines.
Not a technical question, but your team has a very different set of backgrounds. Where did you all meet? Why did you meet, and how did you come together on this topic?
Yeah, so we were living in the same part of France where you have very good kids, Kunyaman. We've met a long time ago also in Belgium in a place where you had a lot of kids from all over Europe. People gathering around computers for 3 days and never taking showers. So that's the first one. And and when I was working for a pharma company in Paris, I hosted Edward because he was a postdoc, and it's very, very difficult to find a good apartment in Paris when you're a postdoc. And the other person, we have many people who were coming from a school called the INSEAD here.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are two from the Healthcare Connection, and I knew maybe Tim from Japan. When I was working in Japan, Tim is working for Google in Japan, and I knew each other from there. And Justin, Waiho, and Sayan, we were studying together.
Okay, good.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I'd like to know that, I may be wrong, but the impression I have is that ultimately your team wishes to find a way to identify stroke and to send the patients to their help as soon as possible. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I want to know, how then in the whole spectrum of things associated with stroke that you chose to focus on sleep patterns from the beginning?
We we observed all the type of data that we could gather without creating an additional burden for the user, without asking them questions. We consider two things: if the person is moving enough or not, and if the person is sleeping. And the first thing was that the sleep was more. It's really universal. It doesn't depend on that much on the city and the configuration of the environment. While moving is a little bit more related to the environment of the person. So we said, okay, we are small. We start with sleep, but then it will continue to develop. Yes.
Okay. Are you planning to calculate price tag of a stroke without your app and with your app society?
That typically is something that I would love to do. That's the question I'm asking myself too. It's very dependent on the country too, and the health system. I would say in the US, it's very, very different from Singapore. So yeah, we will do it. We will not overdo it because it's something that is constantly changing.
To follow up Jay-Z, right? To follow her question, is there an opportunity, or would you consider the opportunity to let the user give you information and therefore risk stratify?
Risk?
Well, I think that whether or not if I go dancing and now my family thinks I have a stroke at Zouk, which could happen for reasons, but compared to if my uncle has it and he puts in that his HDL is 30 and his total cholesterol is 250 and he had a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, a year before, you might, or if you could hook this up to my iHealth blood pressure monitor that shows my diastolic is always above 90, you could refine your patterns in big data to really look for a seismic event as opposed to a ripple.
Yeah, and I like the idea of connecting it to the iHealth device because it's not creating a new burden on the person. He's already doing the measure, it's grabbing it, and it's adding quality to the engine. So
the answer is yes, because we are actually talking to device makers. So we're talking to different sensors makers about overlaying data, because that's what makes sense. And some of the questions that you asked is very specific to different diseases, right? So we're actually looking into epilepsy as well with the study.
Yeah,
because
the first thing that struck me is this is much better if you were able to make it as a holster or to know that it was physically on a person. Then you might be able to identify some specific kinds of seizures, as they begin, and send an SMS to my loved one.
Right. A focus group is good for us because in this case, with epilepsy, we know it's predisposed to epilepsy or Alzheimer, like a certain age you can do to early signs of Alzheimer. So these are kind of the areas that we're interested in. So epilepsy is hopefully we can pursue.
Movement disorders in general. I think that's where your
devices already exist for that actually.
Yeah.
You already have devices. So grabbing the data is not the problem. It's after, it's about integrating and connecting it to that. And that's where we think it's really interesting. I'm not really interested in creating another device where you have those very nice things, or for epilepsy you have watches that are capable of measuring exactly what is happening to you.
Any last question?
Are there certain pre-existing conditions that preclude people from coverage and insurance?
Depends on the country. In some countries you cannot refuse that easily the patients. In some countries you can kick out completely the patients after they had the stroke.
Okay. What are pre-existing conditions that preclude coverage? What are pre-existing conditions?
Typically in the US it's you mentioned the very big market. In the US it's still in the discussion with the Congress about pushing a new law or not. that would forbid them from keeping the patients.
I think some of them like smoking and stuff, your premium will be higher, right? So it's very less than because maybe certain weights and diabetes and stuff like to disposing questions and that. Then
And
you
if
can
you-
still premiums in insurance.
Again, just going back to the theme on health problems.
And if you think about it, you would be able to detect with any type of device based on behavior if the person is a smoker or not.
Sorry,
That's just called NEPS and a GPS.
you have a question as well? Last question.
Okay, so the whole sleep tracking thing, this is done via the accelerometer, right? Maybe the gyroscope as well. But my question is, what's our confidence level on the accuracy of data? Correlation of this guy and...
I would say improving every day.
This confidence level has a numeric value.
I feel you want to answer.
Yeah, so I'm still working on the data, and the idea is not to have something very precise with deep sleep and low sleep pattern.
REM or
yeah, this kind of idea. Just to know around the mean time of sleeping per day, and if there is irregularities. We don't need to know if the person is okay with sleeping 6 hours a day or 8 hours. It's a difference from one day to another or from one week to another that is important for us.
So basically the core piece of data we're getting here is the length of sleep, not so much the quality, because that's very hard to measure.
Because
I think you have other devices to do that, the quality of sleep. Might
Yeah,
fit into that.
these guys try
Not
to do
very
it,
good.
but I'm not sure how accurate they
Not
are.
very good.
I'm not sure.
I've tried many of those, such as Sleep Cycle on the iPhone, which is I would say. But the thing is that most people drop out of it because you forgot. You start forgetting to set it up in the night. You're tired of having to plug it up to the wall before sleeping, and in the end you stop watching the graph. It's so we just decided to really focus on the length and the regularity of your sleep, going to sleep and waking up. So if you're a nurse and having those crazy time shifts, it will tell you, oh, you're really stressed and that's you're in the that would not be that wrong if you know some nurses. That's extremely exhausting to work with shifts that are constantly changing.
Okay. Thanks very much.